It's me. Seems like we keep missing each other lately, huh? But tonight, I need you to hear this, old man. I get it now. I get why you got up before the damn sun ever thought about rising. Why your hands stayed rough. You were out there grinding, breaking your back, making sure we had what we needed. And I see that now. Back then, I thought you were being hard on me. Hell, I didn't see you were building me. You weren't punishing me, Pops. You were preparing me. Teaching me to stand tall when the world swings. I see the choices you made. Time with us, working long hours. You did what you had to. And for that, Pops, I'm grateful. For every hour, every ache, every breath you spent on us. You ain't just my dad. You're my role model, my damn hero. You're the reason I'll never quit. The reason I don't back down. You showed me what a man really is. I love you, Daddy. I remember. Thank you for raising me into the man I am today.
That was an ode by Roger Martz. Great tribute to fathers, dads out there. Earl Red Simonton died June 9th, 1999 at his home in Lindsay, Oklahoma. He was born December 29th, 1925 in Papoose, Oklahoma, in northern Hughes County, to Mary Elizabeth Edmondson and Earl LeClaire Simonton Sr. A veteran, Simonton served in the U.S. Navy as a gunner's mate 3rd class from 1943 to 1946. He received an American Campaign Medal, Asiatic Pacific Medal, and the World War II Victory Medal. He moved to Lindsay, Oklahoma from Mosherville, Michigan, and began his career as a fishing tool operator with Atlas Fishing Tool. 1966, Simonton joined B&B Tool Company, working for more than 25 years with B&B Tool Company, and he retired from Weatherford Incorporated in 1995. He was married to Barbara Ann Boyd, Rawlins, Wyoming, on March 10, 1948.
Okay, my dad, David Reese Dalton, was born November 16th, 1934 in Brinkley, Arkansas. He graduated Brinkley, Arkansas in 1952 and attended the University of Arkansas and was a member of the Sigma Alpha Upsilon fraternity. 2 years at the university after that, he enlisted in the Navy March 4th of 1954, and he finished his recruiting training command on April 19th, 1954. In San Diego, California. He received a certificate as an apprentice chief petty officer. And then he also completed a storekeeper school while in the Navy, and that was in September of 1954. I don't know much more about his career in the Navy. I know he did service 4 years. After completing those 4 years, he enrolled in the Arkansas State Teachers College, and that was in the fall of 1957. That's where he met my mom, Crystalie Shawley, at the Teachers College. They married in March of 1959. During his college education, they had my older sister in 1960, in December of 1960. And then Dad graduated absentia in 1961 because they had moved to Midwest City, Oklahoma, to start his career in procurement at Tinker Air Force Base. While in Midwest City in 1963, I was born. 1969, my brother was born. On March 29th of 1986, my dad was involved in a car wreck where he was sitting at a red light and was rear-ended, and it broke his neck. He was transported, and he lived until April 17th, 1986, where then he passed on. So he would have been his 52nd birthday.
Okay, so he's been gone 40 years now. Anyway, that's a gist of Miss Cara's dad's life on Earth here. Had a tragic passing. My dad, like I said, he died in 1999. So he's been gone for 27 years nearly, so it's been a while, but I think about him every day, and I'm sure Cara thinks about her father that's also passed. You have any fond memories or funny stories about maybe when you and your father was together or close?
My dad was one of the funniest men I ever knew. It was so funny the other day when I was going through stuff, trying to find some more info, because being at the age I was, it was just when we were starting to get, this kind of information, because I just turned 21-ish and somewhere in there. And so that's when you start learning more about your parents and stuff. And so I didn't get that, but I did find in, I found one of his yearbooks from college, and it said that when he graduated, he was going to be the next Jerry Lewis because he was so funny. But no, as we were kids, he kept us laughing all the time. He could do something spontaneous that would just be, it's kind of like how you do with me. All of a sudden, something just pops out of your mouth and it just makes me die laughing because it's just so random. He was greatly rewarded at work. He was won Boss of the Year several times. And this is a big department. Procurement at Tinker Air Force Base. So he was loved by all of his fellow workers. He was a great boss. I found lots of letters of people just saying how much they enjoyed working with him. He could grow some mean tomatoes. He said the magic was always put first dog food, dry dog food, wet dog food, and a can of beer. And that's how you grew tomatoes. So
We can't beat that. I'll have to try that one of these times. Okay.
Yeah, it was awful loss. It was tragic for all three of us. On a side note, my parents were married for 25 years and they had divorced a year and a half before his accident. And so we were all working our way through all that at the same time. It gave my sister and my brother-in-law got to spend a lot of great time with Dad during that time. So it was very special for her. And so it was, childhood was, my dad was fun, so much fun. We had lots of neighbors that were all real close right through there. And all those men would get together and tell their stories in a circle out in the front yard. And you'd sit off to the back where they couldn't see you so you wouldn't get in trouble, so you could hear all the stories.
Well, that's great. All right. Well, I got a couple things to say about Dad. He was in the military in World War II. Once he got discharged, went back to Seminole, Oklahoma. That's where Barbara Ann Boyd, his girlfriend at the time, in 1948, they eloped and went to Rawlins, Wyoming. They decided they was going to work in the oil field. There's another couple. The name was Derb and Lena. They loaded up, eloped with them, went to Rawlins, got married, worked on the drilling rigs, went to Rawlins, Wyoming. Then they went to Brownsville, Texas. Then Brownsville, Texas. Then went to Mosierville, Michigan. This was all chasing the drilling rigs. They finished the project in Michigan. Went back to Lindsay, Oklahoma, where he started his career as a fisherman for Atlas Fishing Tools. And so by the time he started work, he was 24 years old. He retired at 72 years old. So he had a almost 50-year career in the oil field business. And he was well admired and respected in the oil field business. And a lot of people call him after he retired and, pick his brains. I was in the oil field business also and kind of followed in Dad's footstep, ended up in the fishing business and ended up being the fishing tool coordinator for domestic U.S. and Alaska. And I'd have some customers or co-workers call and ask me a question, and I'd take all the notes and stuff. I said, let me get back with you a little bit. And first thing I'd do, I'd call Dad. I said, Dad, here's I got one kind of stumping me. Would you kind of walk me through it? And I'd tell him everything. He said, here's what you got to do, son. And he'd give me a breakdown on probably things that would happen. And he said, if you run into this, this is what you need to do. Run into this. We had about three levels of things that we could probably take care of the project, and great helping me further my career. One of the funnier stories I got to tell about Dad, and he was kind of like Miss CARA's father. He was pretty funny. He was ornery as hell. but he did spend a lot of time away from home working. And when he was around, one time in particular, in Lindsay, Oklahoma, there's a Washita River about a mile south of the house that Mom and Dad lived in. And we were getting remnants of a hurricane that came from the Gulf of Mexico, and it rained and rained and rained. It rained like 10 or 11 inches in like 2 days. We noticed the river was coming up west of town. We did some measurements. We went down south of the house and did some measurements and said, oh my gosh, from west of town at Alex and Bradley, the heights of the river and what it is here at Lindsay, I said, looked like it's going to come all the way to your house, which had to rise above flood stage by about 10 feet easy. So sure enough, it kept rising. We'd go down there and do some marks and time it hourly. And we said, oh my gosh, next few hours it's going to be at the house. So we did everything we could inside, put the goods as on the floor level. We put them about 3 foot high and said if it gets higher than that, we're pretty much screwed anyway. So anyway, we did that. The river came all the way up to the house, 2 foot up the first 2 steps of the porch, and it was literally splashing at the front storm door. And what happened, there was still bigger vehicles going up and down the street, and they'd make a little wake and it'd splash come into the house. Dad said, let's put some dadgum do not enter ribbons from in the road across the road where people can't drive down this road and cause damage to the house. So me and brother Danny and Dad, brother Danny was driving. Dad was in the back of the pickup, and I was in the back of the pickup helping. If you wasn't used about 3 to 3.5 foot of deep water. Anyway, Danny drives up to the ditch near that telephone pole, and Dad's got that security tape tied around this telephone pole. Unbeknownst to us, Danny had driven into the ditch, and we didn't even realize he's in the ditch, and he tied it on. Dad's standing up in the back of the pickup, and he said, son, pull ahead. Unbeknownst to us, the tires are spinning. Dad hollers at Danny, said, son, pull ahead. And then he said, GD's, Danny, pull ahead. So he gassed that son of a bitch and dug down far enough to hit the gravel. When he hit that gravel, that pickup took off and flew out the ditch. Well, Dad was standing toward the pickup, front of the pickup, and he loses his balance and goes over the tailgate of the pickup, and he lands right in the deepest part of the water, and his legs are sticking up in there, and they're just flailing. It thrown me out too, but I landed on my feet, and I'm laughing so dadgum hard, and Danny said, where's Dad? I said, he's in the water. Well, his legs are still flailing. He's still laying in the water. And his legs start slowing down. And I said, oh, hell, I better get over there and help him. So his legs almost stopped. And I ran over and grabbed his shirt and picked him up, and he took a giant breath. He said, he spit some water at him. God damn, what happened? He said, son, I told you to pull up. I didn't mean to pull up that damn fast. But, and that was, that was one of the funniest moments ever. And fortunately, Dad wasn't hurt or anything. He just kind of embarrassed me about drowned in 3.5 foot of water. But that was a fond memory of him. Like I said, I sure do miss him. He's a hard worker, well respected in the oil field, and spent his whole career doing that and did well, and sure do miss him.
Yeah.
You got anything else you want to add?
Just miss him so much. It's been so many years, but it still feels
you're
like
talking
yesterday.
About your dad, yeah. Yeah, and one thing that, I never got to meet, obviously, her father, and Karen never got to meet my father, and we hate that, but we share stories about them, and we sure do miss them. And I'm glad they have a Father's Day that we can send our regard and respect to, and anybody out there still have their parents living.
I am going to say something. I had a stepdad that came into my life. Bill Linehan was his name, and there's no way that my siblings and I could have picked a better human to step into our lives. So we were very blessed on that side of it. So miss you too, Bill.
Okay, well, anybody out there that still has their parents living, give them a call. Tell them you love them. They'll be gone before you know it. Love you guys.
Love you guys.
I remember every